Linus and all those Western reviewers are wrong about the 6600 XT, at least in the context of Singapore. And that's fair. They're American based, so they're calibrating everything for the American prices, American availability. However, in the context of Singapore, right now, at the time of uploading, the 6600 XT AMD GPU is an insane deal and a really good option for mid-range PC builders or people looking to upgrade to a GPU of its range. But it's not gonna last for long, and here's why. Before I start, I need to thank Aftershock because they loaned me a test rig to basically do a benchmark of this GPU. I also need to thank Sapphire for loaning me this GPU for review. However, everything I say in this video is on my own accord, it's my own opinion, and it will be substantiated with as much evidence as I can get. And with that, let's move on. The general consensus of the reviews out there, especially by Western reviewers, is that it's not a good idea to buy the 6600 XT. And that's fair, because they're dealing with messed up stocks, messed up prices, scalpers basically ruining everything. Based on the MSRP and performance both, the 6600 XT slots between the 3060 and the 3060 Ti quite comfortably in most games. However, with ray tracing on, the 6600 XT falls closer to the 3060 than the 3060 Ti version, which reduces its performance gap over the 3060. And it also lacks the advantages that the 3060 have on the software side of things that Nvidia is known for. DLSS, FSR, RTX voice, NVM encoding, all these things Nvidia's RTX 3060 has that the 6600 XT does not. Even though this is faster, the performance gap based on MSRP alone is not enough to justify going with this instead of either the 3060 or the 3060 Ti. And that's the problem with these Western reviews. They're only able to base their reviews off of MSRPs because the prices in America are so messy, so all over the place that they can't base it on actual retail street prices because there's no way to determine a correct street price. However, we're in Singapore and most of my audience are Singapore based. So I'm able to narrow it down and tell you that based on Singapore prices and Singapore stock at this very current moment, this is actually a better buy than the 3060 or the 3060 Ti. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering why I'm basing all my results off of other reviews, do I look like I have a lot of GPUs in my room to you? I don't. I'm not that size yet. In the future, as I get more GPUs and get more hands-on experience with them, I can do more benchmark, but currently I'm just limited by what I have, so I'm basing it off of reviews from the most trusted of tech reviewers out there, from Linus Tech Tips to Hardware Unbox to Gamers Nexus. Anyway, back to the main topic. Because most of you viewers are based in Singapore and from Singapore and going to be shopping with Singapore prices, and because Singapore is a much smaller market that's a lot more stable than America, which is a very big continent, I'm able to give you more specific buyer advice. And in the case of the 6600 XT, my specific buyer advice is that the value proposition for this is pretty good. And that's because the 6600 XT currently is very easy to get your hands on because the stock is pretty healthy and it's currently being sold at MSRP because the distributors that are importing these cards are actually selling it to retailers at a cost price that is reasonable enough for them to resell it at MSRP. So you can actually buy one of these at the intended MSRP that it was supposed to be sold at, which means this right here, this Sapphire 6600 XT can be gotten for about $750, while the XFX one can be obtained for about $730, and the most expensive 6600 XT available right now are the Asus and Gigabyte models, and those can be obtained for about $799. Put it into context, the cheapest RTX 3060 is $800, at least on Lazada and from the price lists I've obtained from Hardware Zone. There will definitely be other things that affect pricing, of course, with the 3060. For example, negotiation with the store owner, discounts, offers, and perhaps plain dumb luck. However, if you factor in the fact that the 6600 XT is more powerful than the 3060 in most games, so long as you leave ray tracing off, which should be the case because you are buying a mid-range, low-end GPU, you shouldn't be expecting to run ray tracing in the first place, this actually becomes a very interesting deal. Of course, if you really need the features that the 3060 has, then this does lose a little bit of that value. But for the average gamer who could live without DLSS and make do with Fidelity FX and make do with AMD's alternatives to most of Nvidia's features, if you don't really need CUDA, you don't really need things that only Nvidia can do, the 6600 XT then becomes good value just because it has that performance advantage in non-ray tracing mode in games compared to the 3060. And because of that, it's a very good deal if it's the right GPU for you. But remember when at the start of this video when I said the ominous, that's because the bane of our gaming existence as a whole is back. and in full force and quite a bit of a prick. I'm talking, of course, about cryptocurrency miners. Ethereum prices are rising again, so mining is becoming more and more profitable. And this will be their main tool to mine that cryptocurrency wave again. It has since been discovered that this GPU right here, the 6600 XT, is the best, and by a large margin, the best, the superior GPU for mining cryptocurrency right now. Based on a power consumption to performance efficiency analysis, this thing trumps any other GPU out there. Be it your 3070s, be it your 3080s, 3090s, 6900 XT, it beats all of that because it's the most power efficient. And the biggest concern in cryptocurrency mining isn't the cost of the card, it's the cost of power that's required to run all these GPUs. Because remember, in cryptocurrency, you're running GPUs 24/7, so that efficiency is very, very important. Which means a couple of things. As this news spreads, the current good stock availability and pricing that we have access to here in Singapore will be very quickly swooped up by anyone who is a cryptocurrency miner, because power is a big deal in Singapore and very expensive. And on top of that, from what I've heard online, rumors, contacts, these brands that are selling the 6600 XT will start allocating a lot of the supply to the cryptocurrency miners, because selling to cryptocurrency miners is much better business than selling to us gamers, because they're willing to pay more, buy in larger numbers, and buy in much more consistent amount. That means a few things for us consumers. Well, number one, it will become much harder to find a 6600 XT due to the reduced stock. And number two, because of that reduced stock and the increased prices from people importing this card, us consumers will have to pay more to buy this 6600 XT, which means a lot of its value will be instantly vaporized, because its current advantage is admittedly still quite slim over the 3060 and the 3060 Ti. All that means is that the next batch of these 6600 XTs will have less supply and be priced higher, meaning all that price to performance advantage, which is the only thing the AMD GPUs really have over the 3060 and the 3060 Ti, will be vaporized in an instant, which means then this card will become much less of a good deal to buy. Which means if you don't buy this GPU right now with the current prices and you wait and sit on your ass for too long, the prices will increase and the supply will decrease, which means it's harder to find and you have to pay more, which means you'll probably end up going with a 3060 and 3060 Ti, which is fine. But the thing is, because Ethereum prices are rising as a whole, it's becoming more profitable to mine cryptocurrency again, which means that 3060 and 3060 Ti will also increase in price by the time all this kicks into place and the second batch of 6600 XTs arrive, which means less value for us consumers and us gamers. Because I know Bitcoin miners are not watching this video. In fact, if you are a Bitcoin miner or cryptocurrency miner watching this video, why do you do this to us? Go buy an N miner. Please don't buy our GPUs. But look, listen, I'm not asking you to be a reckless consumer, to just buy for the sake of buying. Okay, I'm not saying everyone, because it's a good deal now, you need to buy a 6600 XT before it's too late. No, I'm not a salesperson trying to sell you this card. I'm just telling the people who this card might be right for to hurry up and go and get one before prices and availability go to crap. So then the question remains, who is this GPU for? Based on my own personal experience test benching this GPU on a 3600 16GB of RAM PC, this one that Aftershock has kindly provided, based on my experience doing that, and based on my experience watching a lot of reviews from Linus Tech Tips, Gamers Nexus, and all these established Western reviewers with access to test benches and many different GPUs, here is what I can come up with as to who this GPU is for. With it, you can expect an excellent gaming experience on AAA titles for 1080p. And if you are a 1440p gamer, you can still expect to have a pretty decent time, so long as you're okay with lowering your settings from ultra to high or medium. And of course, with ray tracing turned off. And if you're buying a card in this price range, there's really no reason to expect it to be capable of giving you a good ray tracing experience to begin with. So frankly, that should be out of the question, even if we're talking about the RTX 3060 or 3060 Ti. On ray tracing, be prepared to get a 3070 or 3080 or 3090 at minimum, because these kind of entry-level mid-range cards, they're not built for ray tracing, at least not in this current generation. Also, lowering your settings from ultra to medium or high is actually not as big of a deal as many people would like to make it out to be. As this video from Linus Tech Tips clearly shows that increasing and cranking your settings to max, it's a cool flex, but it's usually diminishing returns rather than, well, a great change in gaming experience. and it's often not such a big deal that it's gonna make the game feel worse to you, especially if you're only lowering your settings from absolutely maxed out to me. And I personally think cranking your settings to ultra is not worth the FPS if you can't get 60 FPS minimum at the very least. Now, if you are esports title kind of gamer who spends most of your time playing Valorant, CSGO, Rainbow Six Siege, League, or the like, this card will be a great replacement for that aging 1060 GPU I know you have in your PC. It'll be plenty to run those games at pretty much any resolution up to like 6K, assuming that your CPU performance allows, because those games generally are more CPU bottleneck than GPU bottleneck. The conclusion is simply this, and don't call me a sellout because Sapphire and Aftershock and all these sent me the card. I'm genuinely making this video because I genuinely believe in what I'm saying and time is of the essence. The conclusion here is that this is a deal, a pretty good deal. But this deal is quickly fleeting. So if and only if this card is the right GPU for you and you've been looking for a GPU upgrade in the price range of this card, or you're looking to build a PC that's mid-range, 2K or below, then it's time to go out and cop yourself an RX 6600 XT. Because these prices and the availability for this GPU won't be here for long. And as these prices go up, all those reviews by Linus Tech Tips, Hardware Unboxed, Gamers Nexus saying that this is a bad buy, well, they will become true even in Singapore's context. And by that point in time, you will probably have to look towards NVIDIA to get an RTX 3060 or an RTX 3060 Ti, which are not bad cards by a far margin. And by then, the 3060 and 3060 Ti prices will without a doubt probably also have risen quite healthily, because Ethereum prices and Bitcoin prices are coming back up at quite a steady and quick rate, which is good for people investing in crypto and great for people who are looking to mine crypto, but terrible for us gamers. God damn it, Ethereum miners, why you gotta do this to me? Thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful. As for the next video featuring this, it will be a PC build guide featuring the 6600 XT. It will be about a 2,000 Singapore dollar budget, and I think that will be an interesting video to a lot of you guys. So if you are interested in that video, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay tuned. Either way though, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions you want to ask, you can ask on my Discord. Anyway, make sure you like, subscribe and comment. Bye!